SnowTrax is sponsored by Ski-Doo, Polaris, Terrain Domination, and by FXR Racing, Full Throttle Addiction.
In 2015, the Axis was the big news for Polaris out on the trails, and following the progression that we all hoped would be, for 2016, Polaris brings that same next-level technology to the RMK side. When spec'd out properly, the RMK 155 will now weigh a mind-blowing 408 pounds. That is the lightest mountain sled on the market by a long shot, and sends everyone else back to the drawing board, or maybe more accurately, the treadmill. Getting to 408 pounds took a lot of new technology and some serious forward thinking, and can only be described as a mountain sled like no other. From the beautiful forged aluminum upper and lower A-arms that save 1.5 pounds to the Walker monotube featherweight shocks, quick drive low inertia belt drive, and an all-new Polaris exclusive Series 2.6 lightweight track, the RMK is a feather. And thanks to all the weight savings, the 800HO feels incredibly potent in the Axis RMK chassis. While there is a whole lot more that goes into the Polaris Axis RMK to make it that light, there's a sled for 2016 and a name coming back that's equally as cool. The SKS features a beautiful blue and white coloration and can be spec'd with different track packages. The key to this sled is the added bulkhead cooler and abundance of wheels in the rear skid, helping it to maintain both lower operating temperatures and slider material even when the trails are groomed. Featuring most of the Axis RMK technology from the 408-pound sled, the SKS truly is a no-compromise, do-it-all powder sled that can be ridden nearly anywhere. Utilizing a chain case as opposed to the drive belt and featuring the same lightweight, rigid rear RMK suspension that drops 3 pounds in weight, the SKS is potent. Besides the Assault, all other Axis RMKs feature the taller front spindle that delivers more ground clearance, reducing drag, allowing the sled to stay atop the snow more easily. And when you link all of that with the incredibly light design, you have a snowmobile that delivers what Polaris calls instantaneous lift. Does it work? From my experience, absolutely. While there is a huge variety of factory customization available across all Polaris snowmobile lines for 2016, the big news truly rests in the RMK camp, where impressive new technology and extreme lightweight are setting the standards for mountain snowmobiling in 2016. While we've had the opportunity to see many of the new 2016 sleds, we haven't had the chance to get our hands on the new Yamahas, but that doesn't mean that we don't have all the info. The Apex will see weight reduction of up to 10 pounds through the use of a new rear skid frame called the Single Shot using a new Fox Float 3 XV air shock. This same suspension can be found on the 2016 Vector and sees similar weight savings. Another big feature on the Vector is Yamaha Chip Controlled Throttle, or YCCT, which allows users to select 3 unique throttle maps and will appeal to novice or rental riders. The Viper lineup is not without its changes as well, and for 2016, suspension seems to be where most of those changes are happening. The Viper STX has gone from an uncoupled 141-inch air skid to a much smoother 137 coupled skid, offering better ride compliance yet great off-trail flotation using a 1.6-inch lug track. The STX DX137 features hardshell flexi bags for sizable gear storage, while the 146-inch DX gets a rear pickup box that houses a 4-gallon auxiliary fuel tank. Both models feature coilover shocks up front. And speaking of coilovers, the Viper 129 RTX SE loses its Fox floats in exchange for a set of Fox PB 3-position adjustable piggyback coils. And finally, the mountain market did not get overlooked, where Yamaha's Vipers will be climbing higher than they ever have before. The new MTXs use a completely new front end that drops weight and increases performance in the mountains. LE versions in both 62 and 53-inch length will see a 3-inch Power Claw track to compete with the new 3-inch competition. All Viper mountain sleds will also be using a newly designed ski for better float and quicker lift. The 2016 year is shaping up to be quite interesting, and Yamaha is adding some updates and benefits that are sure to impress next year's riders.
SnowTrax is sponsored by snowmobileandquebec.com. This winter, experience snowmobile heaven.
Skidoo has a lot of new stuff for model year 2016. However, we're going to let you be the judge if what's new is what you wanted. To kick off this feature, we'll unveil what we think is the slickest twist we've ever seen on the ubiquitous snowmobile ski. Here's the deal. The snowmobile ski and carbide combination you choose for your sled has pretty much always been a static feature. You bolt carbides on your skis and you're stuck with what you've got. Here to explain what Skidoo has come up with is Snowmobile Product Development Director, J.F. Lambert.
Let's talk about the Pilot TS ski. It's something we're very proud of, coming new for 2016. With the Pilot TS ski, what we brought to the customer is a mean to adjust his ride very easily, very quickly and directly, I will say, to the ski. So the front end is clearly affected when you play with the knob on the ski. What's technically happening when you turn the knob, the blade will move up and down, the blade holding the carbides. And with this, it will change dramatically the dynamic behavior of the vehicle. If you bring the blade in, then you will have a less aggressive of a ride, but much less darting, much less steering effort. And on the other side, if you drop the blade down, then you will have a more accurate ride, a bit more steering effort.
This sounded too good to be true. However, it isn't. Here's how the TS ski works.
When we developed the Pilot TS ski, we wanted to make sure it was going to be super easy for the customer to adjust. So we made it very easy to turn the knob, physically easy.
Probably the most anticipated update from Skidoo has been a new generation 1200 4Tech engine and a restyle of the somewhat long-in-the-tooth XR bodywork package. If you were waiting for more power from the industry's most popular four-stroke engine, you're going to have to wait a little longer. The 2016 4Tech 1200 will get Rotax ITC, Intelligent Throttle Control, with its tri-mode response system. The addition of ITC to the 1200 makes a significant improvement in throttle pickup off idle and engagement. There's also a new muffler for the 4Tech, necessitated by the 1200's move into XS bodywork. The XS bodywork package has been tweaked ever so slightly to accommodate the larger 1200 4Tech engine. However, you get all the inherent advantages of the XS bodywork, including improved wind protection, storage, and easier underhood access. Big news is the elimination of the venerable and identity-challenged GSX series. In their place comes a reinvented big miler sled platform called the Enduro. While similar in its equipment load to a GSX, there's something that's bare-chested and more manly about the Enduro. Could be that tubular bumper or the funky gold frost coloration. For sure, the availability of 900 and 1200 4Tech power and 600 and 800 E-Tech power makes this an attractive sled for riders looking for adventure. There's a 137R motion with air ride, Pilot TS skis, and heated everything for the rider. Does Skidoo's Spring Break program and their new 2016 models have enough sizzle to keep their showrooms busy this March? Yep, we think so. Arctic Cat has become increasingly customer-centric. For model year 2016, you're going to see more of what you've been asking for. Everything from a new engine to new segmentation to all new models are part of 2016. Arctic Cat is serious about sorting out the crossover segment. To this end, the XF and ZR series are being blended to a degree to deliver ZRs in both 129 and 137-inch track lengths. Last year's hugely popular XF 137, a virtual ZR clone, is simply a ZR 137 for 2016. Arctic Cat legend and product manager Joey Hallstrom explains.
Our 137, which was an XF last year, really, we sat down with customers and we listened to them that they wanted a ZR, but they wanted a 137 track. And the more we dug into it and talked to these people, we decided that they wanted a ZR 129 length or a ZR 137 length. Again, because the 137 is getting so popular. What's the benefits of a 137? When you get a little bit longer wheelbase, the machine straddles the bumps better. It's a little more smoother riding. You do get more track underground. You get more traction. That's one of the biggest things why we see this 137 catching so much popularity lately.
In a somewhat unexpected move, Arctic Cat is equipping all their engines from the 600 DSI up to Team Industries' primary and secondary clutches in 2016.
The durability and the consistency and the better clutches overall that we're getting out of here, we're very excited. And that's the main reason why. We want to give the customer a better drive system. They expect it. We're challenging ourselves to have better quality, better durability, better longevity. You shouldn't have to go buy a new clutch at 1,500 miles.
Maybe the biggest news for model year 2016 is the reinvention of the M-Series mountain-specific models. Arctic Cat is intently interested in growing this segment and has invested heavily in new chassis technology. What's new on the M-Series? How about an all-new wide-spaced A-frame IFS producing increased camber when levering the bars and new slippery spindles designed for less drag when side hilling? There's a completely new rear skid that pops in powder and an available 3-inch lug for serious bite in deep snow. Ergos have been tweaked with a new fixed handle pull, and attention to belt cooling is improved as well. Arctic Cat has the widest range of both 2- and 4-stroke engines in the snowmo biz. Their footprint in the market is huge, and for 2016, their rationalized model designations are making snowmobile segmentation way easier to understand.
Closed captioning of SnowTrax is sponsored by Triton Trailers, the cornerstone of every adventure.
Last week I told you about the Arctic Cat Dream Ride giveaway, a contest put on by Arctic Cat, SuperTrax Magazine, and SnowTrax Television that gives you so much more than just the opportunity to win a cool new custom sled. The Dream Ride giveaway is the sweepstakes of the century, offering you so much more than just a cool stock sled. It offers 2 separate winners a totally custom sled tailored to trail or mountain riding. On top of that, you get the chance to ride with the crew from SnowTrax TV as well as Arctic Cat celebrity riders. And it all gets documented in a feature in SuperTrax Magazine and SnowTrax Television episode. You are so going to be the envy of your buddies next year. While this is a very cool giveaway, you need to know how to enter this draw so that you can win. Because if you don't enter, you don't even have a chance. And that's not a dream, that's a nightmare. Look for entry ballots in issues of SuperTrax Magazine, fill them out, and return them to any Arctic Cat dealer across North America. This will ensure you have the chance to win, and not only take home one of 2 totally trick rides, but also get an all-expenses-paid trip to ride right here at SnowTrax and SuperTrax World Headquarters, or at high altitude, both with SnowTrax crew and Arctic Cat celebrity riders and engineers. During last week's episode, I was able to start off with some very important updates to the front end of our brand new 2015 XF8000 Limited. Keep in mind, all the parts you see installed on the Dream Ride giveaway you can order from your local Arctic Cat dealer. And during last week's show, I chose to remove our Float 3.0s and go with a beautiful set of Fox Zero RC2 coil shocks. These piggyback dampers offer a wide range of adjustability as well as the signature gold Kashima coating. While up front, I also ditched the stock skis for a more aggressive set of white CNA Pro Razors that feature an aggressive square center keel and 2 outboard V keels per ski. The front end of our XF is now as razor sharp as it looks. This week I have quite a bit to do to finish up the XF and make it look truly unique and custom, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. The stock graphics just don't say enough about who the rider of this sled is. We want you to be noticed, we want you to look cool, and the best way to do that is through the use of an Arctic Cat hood and tunnel wrap. This particular design is called the Scarred Wrap in Green, and will totally customize this XF's tunnel and body panels, while still letting people know what brand of sled this beast is. And while I do like to look cool, I'm also a fan of wind protection, so there's a few pieces in that area that I need to remove. The stock windshield is totally acceptable, but more custom is the fly screen in black and chrome. And speaking of custom, there is never a time where a little more accessorized wind protection can't be used. So the factory Cat wind deflectors will go a long way in keeping you warm when temp or sunlight drops. While the build is looking pretty custom to this point, there's still a few pieces that I want to change out. In particular, some aluminum stuff that I think will really set it apart. The billet recoil handle, I mean, come on, yeah, we need it. It looks cool and it's way stronger. Add to the recoil some matching Arctic Cat etched rear suspension blocks and we're looking better, but also way more durable for adjusting our torsion springs, because the plastic blocks can strip if your socket isn't tight or your suspension is frozen up. Finishing up on the rear skid, I've opted to install rear idler wheels in white, not only to look great, but to increase low snow wear on the sliders. While I'm at the back of the sled, I have a few more pieces to add. These pieces are not just going to add great looks, they're also going to be functional, and that's important when you're building a custom sled. I gotta ditch the stock snow flap, it's just not custom enough looking. This new all-green flap is much more the part of our rig. Up on the tunnel, I've opted for a matching Arctic Cat green tunnel rack that can fit lots of stuff, but possibly, most importantly, our handy little 2.5 gallon fuel tank. And securing the tank is a set of Arctic Cat rack straps. As our final install, I'm securing a set of Arctic Cat Stomp tank grips for when the trail's smooth and you need all the grip you can get to laser guide your XF through the twisties. Wait, I almost forgot. One last thing, a brand new Arctic Cat drive belt so you're not out on the trails without one. And with that, we finished up our XF 8000 build. I hope you think that this sled is as cool as I know that it is. Tune in over the next 2 weeks as I continue to accessorize an M8000 with so much cool stuff you're going to be blown away. This is the Arctic Cat Dream Ride, and you could win it.
Test Ride is sponsored by Princess Auto, the unique world of equipment, tools, and more.
Doing what I do for a living allows me to be extremely picky about what I like and don't like in a snowmobile. I'm on a mission to find the perfect sled. But at the end of the day, like beauty, perfection is always in the eye of the beholder. So far, I haven't found the perfect sled. Everything I ride leaves at least a little something to be desired. But year after year, heated competition between the manufacturers brings us closer and closer to that goal of perfection. This year, Yamaha gave me a Viper XTX, and the question that obviously came along with it was just how close to perfect did they get? This sled just looks plain awesome. I haven't met a single person who doesn't like how it looks just sitting still on the snow. Accents like the white painted tunnel and deep blue rails just ooze cool. But sometimes, with style comes sacrifice. And the obviously cool looking windshield on the XTX is definitely one of those. In my younger years, I would have happily accepted all the trade-offs a G-string sized piece of Lexan like this would require, all in the name of looking as studly as possible. But I'm not a kid anymore. Bottom line, Yamaha needs to spec this sled with a real windshield. End of story. The next thing Yamaha got right with this sled is definitely the track. There's a fine line between too much lug and not enough, and I think Yamaha did a great job of landing somewhere right in the middle, especially with a sled that's marketed as being equally as capable on the trail as it is off the trail. The 141 Camoplast 1.6-inch Cobra is deep enough to give excellent mobility in the deep snow, whether it be in an ungroomed ditch, lake, or back in the trees. It isn't so much that it negatively affects trail manners. In fact, I found traction on the trail to be very impressive, even when the snow conditions were less than optimal. Pair this ultra-serious sneaker with the legendary power of Yamaha's 1049cc triple, and you've got not just traction, but all the torquey power you're going to need to continuously shovel huge quantities of snow out the back of that extended tunnel. This engine is by far our favorite 4-stroke snowmobile motor for one simple reason. Other than a bit of extra weight, it really doesn't feel like a 4-stroke. Its performance characteristics are far more 2-stroke-ish than any other 4-banger on the snow. A pair of Fox Float 3 air shocks can be found between these massively spaced front A-arms, and another Fox Float 2 air shock can be found mounted on the rear arm of the skid. The good? They're light. But the truth is, that's the only good thing I can honestly say about the floats. Not because they don't actually work. They do work, just not nearly as well as a good quality coilover. Ergonomically, the Viper scores huge marks with nearly everybody who rides it, save for people with extra long legs. Simply put, it's comfy. Moving around on this sled is effortless, and I didn't ever feel cramped or like I had to stretch to reach the bars. I do like the simple, easy to operate without looking at them left-hand switch buttons, but I'd really like to see a remote toggle for the gauge included in the future. It's a small point, but makes a big difference on a long day. When you have a whole fleet of sleds in your backyard, you get to be really picky about what works and what doesn't. We test everything back to back, day to day, and we know for a fact this Viper chassis is capable of top-notch handling. Unfortunately, Yamaha's tuner skis, the ones that work so well on the Apex and Vector, do not work nearly as well on the Viper chassis. The concept of tunable handling with different length carbides is a good one. But this ski design does not complement this sled the way it should. We know this chassis is capable of positive turning characteristics with predictable bite all through a corner. Instead, the Viper pushes on initial turn-in and bites unpredictably midway through your turn. Install a pair of single carbide skis and the problem disappears. Our advice to Yamaha is leave these skis on the Apex and the Vector and put last season's skis back on the Viper. Viper has proven itself to be not just a looker, but with a little bit of tweaking, an excellent on-trail performer. We love the motor, we're pretty sure chicks dig the style, and we're very comfortable riding this sled. With a ski change and a set of coilover shocks, there wouldn't be much else to pick on.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Polaris Terrain Domination, Arctic Cat, share our passion, and by Go Ride Ontario, yours to discover.
If you like this video, post a comment and tell us what you think. Then click on this link to subscribe to SnowTrax TV here on the YouTube channel.